Week 1, Cowboys-Eagles. The Eagles will win because they have the advantage in literally every category. Quarterback, wide receiver, running back, O-line, D-line, linebackers, cornerback, safety, head coach, coordinators, and not to mention they don't even have Micah Parsons anymore because they traded him to the Packers. So, Eagles will win 10-33. For Chiefs-Chargers, I hate to admit it, but even without Rashee Rice, the Chiefs will still win this game. I don't trust the Chargers O-line without Rashawn Slater as if I did before, and whether it would be because of dark magic or refs or injuries, the Chiefs seem to have Herbert's number. But if the field conditions in Brazil are like they were last year, then who knows? I think the score for this one will be 23-17. For Bucs-Falcons, this one's tough to predict because both teams are coming into the season banged up, and these matchups went the way of the Falcons last year, but that was with Kirk Cousins and a better and more healthy O-line, since they won't have Caleb McGarry because he's injured and they lost Drew Dalman in free agency. So I think it'll be close, but I think the Bucs defense will get key takeaways and win by one score, 27-24. For Bengals-Browns, oh boy. A week ago, I was confident the Bengals would win this easily, but now I'm not so sure. What if Joe Flacco and Jerry Jeudy decide to pop off for 150 yards? What if Quinshon Judkins goes crazy against the Bengals' non-existent run defense? What if the Bengals start out slow despite playing in the preseason? The Browns tend to play their rivals closer than any other bad team does against their respective rivals, although that's probably because they have the best coach out of any of the bad teams. I think it'll be close entering the fourth quarter, and then Joey B and Jamar will take over, and Joe Flacco will throw a game-sealing interception that will make the game look like it wasn't as close as it actually was, 28-16. Dolphins-Colts. The battle of the 8-9 almost playoff teams from last season that lost in Week 18 when their quarterbacks were injured, and immediately after the games ended, the organizations issued a statement that they were keeping their head coaches and GMs. Anyway, I think this is a game where people think the Dolphins would win easily, but it'll be relatively low scoring, as the Colts D-line definitely has the advantage over the Dolphins O-line. Plus, we don't know how Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and A-Chain are going to play, since they were all banged up last season and coming into this season. I think the Finns will be down at half 7-13, and then score 10 unanswered in the second half, as Danny Dimes will throw a pick, and Chop Robinson will go into takeover mode, and Miami will eventually win 20-16. Raiders-Patriots. The Tuck rule, the Robert Spillane revenge game. Patriots win this game. I just don't think the Raiders will be able to stop Drake May and his new receivers. Plus, if there's anyone who knows how to make the Raiders lose, it's Josh McDaniels. I predict the score will be 20-27. Cardinals-Saints. The Cardinals are going to run all over the Saints defense. Saints quarterbacks will combine for 2 interceptions and a fumble, and the Cardinals will win 37-9. Steelers-Jets. One of the most intriguing games in Week 1, the Aaron Rodgers-Justin Fields double revenge game. I think this will be a very ugly game as both teams adapt to the new personnel and players adapt to the new systems. Eventually, I think the Steelers will pull this out in a classic Steelers Week 1 fashion. TJ Watt will have a sack, Cam Hayward will have a forced fumble, and Chris Boswell will make some field goals, and the Steelers will win 16-10. Giants-Redskins. What is there to say? I don't think the Redskins are as good as everyone thinks. I also think the Giants are still worse than people think. Their D-line will probably have some good plays, but I don't think their run game will be complementary enough to support their passing game, and I think the Redskins will eventually take care of business 16-24. Panthers-Jags. Call me crazy, but these teams are cross-conference counterparts. Both are cats in the South that stole an offensive coordinator from the Bucs and drafted a flashy new receiver to help their disappointing number 1 overall QB. Also, both defenses are trash. Last time these two played each other was in 2023, and the Panthers actually almost won that game. So I think this is one of the hardest games to predict in Week 1. Ultimately, I think the Panthers will win this game because they have a much better O-line and subsequently run game than the Jags. Though I do think the Jags will put up a ton of passing yards. Score prediction would be 34-28. Titans-Broncos. This isn't even going to be close. Rookie quarterback and trash roster versus a top 3 defense. 9-24. Niners-Seahawks. This one could be interesting. The Darnold beat the Niners last season, but that was with a better team on the Vikings, and the Niners were injured last year, and they changed defensive coordinators by bringing back Robert Saleh. Whether the Seahawks O-line is immediately better than last year remains to be seen, but if it isn't, Nick Bosa is going to feast. I predict the score will be 24-13. Lions-Packers. Oh boy, if Micah is anywhere near 100%, I think the Packers win somewhat handily. If not, I think it'll come down to the wire, but Jordan Love will throw a game-winning touchdown to Matthew Golden and show everyone that he's different this season. I'm not sold on the Lions' interior O-line, and their coordinators could end up giving them a season like the Eagles had 2 years ago. I'm not predicting that will happen, but you never know. I think the score for this game will be 26-20 in favor of the Packers. Stroud's Rams. I think the Texans defense will control this game. The Rams tend to start out slow in recent years because of injuries, and the Texans defense is not a good team to start slow against. I just don't think the Rams will be able to keep enough drives going to outscore the Texans despite how bad the Stroud's O-line is. I think the QBs will combine for 7 sacks, but the Texans will eventually get enough offense rolling to win 21-13. Ravens-Bills. Primetime, MVPs, Super Bowl contenders, divisional round rematch. What more could you ask for? I don't really have a good transition. Lamar and the Ravens are going to come out hungry, and the Bills secondary is already in postseason form, so Zay and Mark Andrews are probably going to have over 130 yards combined, and Derrick Henry and Lamar will combine for over 150. I really don't think this Bills defense has what it takes to stop the Ravens this season. Not to mention the Ravens special teams looked really good in the preseason. From last year's regular season matchup to this one, I don't think the Bills are going to be any better, mostly because all of their new defensive acquisitions are not playing week 1 for one reason or another. And the Ravens at least upgraded at corner with Jair Alexander, who also might not play. All in all, I think this game will pretty much go like it did last regular season, despite this matchup being at Highmark. Ravens win 31-17. Vikings-Bears. This one will also be interesting. Both teams made major upgrades this offseason, specifically to their offensive lines to help their young second-year quarterbacks. But since Caleb Williams actually played last season, I think he'll do enough to get the Bears the win. However, you can never count out a Brian Flores defense. Bears win 12-14.